Medicaid is going to lose almost $800 billion over the next decade as a result of this bill. Oh, but I'm not on Medicaid, so that doesn't apply to me. Oh, it sure does, and let me tell you how. There are many hospitals that are staying open because of the money they get from Medicaid. Now they won't get that money, so the hospitals will shut down. So now there will be more people in the hospitals that are able to stay open. As a result, the ERs will be more crowded, the care you get will be slower, longer waits for everybody, regardless of the kind of insurance you have.
Hello brothers and sisters, I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you're watching me from now. MAGA supporters are now crying out to the world that Donald Trump is cutting the Medicaid and the Medicare that he promised that he won't touch when re-elected to the presidency. Now, this is not sitting well with the majority of those who voted for him, and they're now crying out to the black community and to the Democrats to help them kick out Donald Trump. So let's watch this video, then have a really quick discussion at the end of it. Thank you so much.
Insurance premiums are now going to go up. Why? To make up for the difference that hospitals aren't getting from Medicaid. So you have private health insurance? Congratulations. We're all going to pay more now. With hospitals shutting down, that means jobs are lost. Employment rates go up, especially in rural areas where there already is less work. Another decrease in public health because now there's going to be less money for vaccines, for maternal health, maternal care. This is going to very negatively impact women. In order to make up for the difference in federal funding, states need to put up more funding in order for them to still have people on Medicaid, which means that state taxes will probably increase so that they have more revenue coming in to cover that gap. So if you're happy that you'll be paying less federal taxes for other people to have health care, congratulations. You're now going to be paying more state taxes so other people can have health care.
My whole house is on Medicaid. My husband, me, our baby daughter. Okay, we're all on Medicaid. Without Medicaid, I wouldn't be able to have the birth control in my arm that I have. Without Medicaid, I wouldn't be able to have the antidepressants that I have at no cost to me. Without Medicaid, I wouldn't be able to go to therapy to continue to be the mom I am to the 3 kids and 2 separate houses that I have to do. Without Medicaid, my daughter wouldn't be able to go and get her vaccines and go and get all of the things.
I know some people love these MAGA fuck around, find out stories, but this one really pisses me off because this mother in Missouri, a state where 1 in 5 people are on Medicaid, she has a 9-year-old who's disabled, who needs Medicaid. And I want her to have it. I want that mother and that child to have all the support that they need. That's what I voted for, right? I did my part. Us Kamala voters, we did our part. And she's out here telling reporters when they're asking her about the big, beautiful bill that's going to affect her and going to hurt her and going to hurt her family, she says she's not one for politics. She's not interested in politics. Lady, the Republicans who lead your state have made your daughter's existence political. So you don't get to say that you're not interested in politics. They forced your hand. You know what I mean? And so she's writing to her Senator Josh Hawley, telling him about how the Trump tax bill is going to affect her. And he's out there making public statements about how this could hurt Missourians. Doesn't matter. A few days later, he votes for the bill anyway. This is why you don't get to say that you're not interested in politics. Politics affects all of our lives. If you're silent, you're complicit.
The thing that gets me is knowing the Trump-supporting girls in my life who have given birth to children using Medicaid that would not have been able to have those children in a hospital if it was not for Medicaid. Fully, proudly wearing the stupid red hat, prancing all the way to the polls. Fuck you for taking advantage of a system and then kicking the ladder out from behind you.
78 million Americans have Medicaid. That is 20% of the population. Wait a minute, Christina. Wait. 20% of the population has Medicaid. How can that be? Did you know that Medicaid is not called Medicaid in every state? Uh-oh, you didn't think about that. In Alaska, Medicaid is called Denali Care. In South Carolina, Medicaid is called Healthy Connections. In Tennessee, Medicaid is called TennCare. In the red state of Arkansas, it's called health care. In Alabama, it's called Alabama Medicaid. In Iowa, Medicaid is called Iowa Health Link. In the red state of Virginia, Medicaid is called Cardinal Care. 78 million Americans have Medicaid. How many of those MAGA have Medicaid and they're too dumb to even know it? And right now, that's about to be cut. What state do you live in? I'll tell you what your Medicaid is called. Follow for all things personal finance, economic news, and some common sense.
Y'all are seriously falling for this? Like, seriously? You are being manipulated into not caring that people are losing health insurance. MAGA was taking heat for Medicaid cuts, so they quickly pivoted, flipped the script, and said, no, we're not cutting Medicaid. We're just kicking those undeserving and lazy people off of Medicaid. Your lack of understanding about the U.S. immigration system and healthcare system is being exploited, and MAGA is trying to convince you that some people deserve healthcare while others do not. Immigrants without full lawful status are already not eligible for federal Medicaid, and the only reason some states have expanded their state health insurance programs to include these folks is because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to insure people than to not insure them. And these immigrants, regardless of their documentation status, are contributing to our communities. They are building our economy. They are paying taxes. There is no amount of creative math that can be done that only kicks undocumented people off of Medicaid and gets us to $800 billion worth of cuts. It's not possible. On the moral front, everyone deserves health care. On the financial front, bad health care will always be more expensive than good health care. And no one can make an economic argument that kicking people off of health insurance is going to save us money, because it won't. It is going to cost all of us way more money in the long run.
So Nebraska can't catch a break, right? So it was reported earlier this year that it was quite possible that the state could go bankrupt, right? Because of the tariffs and the farmers not being able to sell their goods. Well, now it's being reported, since the passage of that big bad bill, that they're about to start closing rural hospitals. In one particular county, in Webster County, in Nebraska, they are closing several rural hospitals, and it's going to impact about 3,000 people. But the saddest part of that is it's not only just the rural hospital, it's also the rural nursing home that's tied to those hospitals. So Mima and Pawpaw ain't gonna have nowhere to live. And again, this is another county that voted overwhelmingly for syphilitic Sid. They anticipate that with the closure, they're not going to have hospitals. Nurses and doctors are already starting to quit so that they can go and find other work. So they're operating under a shortage while having to find places to put these people, in particular, the elderly that are in these nursing homes. Because a lot of folks don't realize it's a federal mandate. If I'm not mistaken, please feel free to correct me in the comments, but I believe most nursing homes have to have a certain number of beds to accommodate Medicaid patients. Because all of that is eligibility based on income. So therefore, if you are one of those low wage or low earners and didn't, make a lot of money, and you didn't pay a lot into Social Security, you may have Medicare, but Medicare doesn't pay for nursing homes. At least not that I know of. If I'm wrong, I'm open to the correction. But I just, it's like we're literally only 6 months in, and it's been one breaking news alert after another since Syphilitic Sid took office. We have not had one day where there hasn't been some form of breaking news that hasn't been bad news. So I get it. All MAGA, all y'all heard was he was going to deport people and he was going to build alligator Alcatraz, and y'all thought y'all was going to buy tickets and eat popcorn to watch immigrants fight off alligators, fight each other. I don't know. Meanwhile, who about to go get me, mom and papa when they don't have any place to live? Just something to think about. Hey, good morning. So by now we've all absorbed the fact that the big disastrous bill has passed. And, we're all going to have to figure out how to deal with that because we'll all be impacted in some way, right? But I'm not here to gloat, but I kind of am. Because this morning, as I'm scrolling through various social media platforms, it's all the people that are just now finding out that they have Medicaid. It's all the people, for example, that didn't know that the Medicaid in their state was called something different. Like the ones who didn't realize that the ACA and Obamacare were the same thing. Yeah. So like, for example, in Kansas, it's called CanCare. In California, it's called Medi-Cal. In another state, I think it's like Idaho, Iowa. It's one of them, whichever the Hawkeyes are in. So it's called Hawkeye, right? Hawkeye Care or something like that. And now they're realizing that they're losing their health insurance and that health insurance was actually Medicaid. I don't know whether to feel sorry for these people or to just laugh at them. Because if you go over on Threads, Instagram, Facebook, all of these different social media platforms, you will see all these people, what the kids say, crashing out because they're just now realizing they're about to lose their health care. And they're upset because no one told them that it was actually Medicaid. This is going to be fun to watch. I mean, not like, but I'm just saying the realization that these people are getting is going to be fun to watch. Okay. Goodbye.
It's time to speak up. Well, it appears the joke's on me. It appears I have been the biggest fool alive. You see, before the last couple of days, I knew that there was a segment of MAGA who just hated, who just wanted to burn the world down and they don't care who they hurt. In the meantime, I knew there was that section, but I really, really thought that most of MAGA just didn't get it. I really thought they just didn't understand. They didn't understand economics because it's complicated. They hadn't studied Project 2025, so they didn't know what was coming. But I really thought when he got in there and started doing the things that hurt so many people, that they would realize and that they would, but they don't care. Y'all have been telling me this for 2 months, and I kept saying, no, we just have to explain it to them. We just have. Now, I know there are a few, and I thank you guys. You make it worth sticking with this. But over the last couple of days, I have realized that the majority of Republicans do not care how many people are hurt. And they are exactly what Palpatine said. they're the ones he was talking about when he said he could unalive someone in public and they would still vote for him. I thought they just wanted lower egg prices. I thought they were struggling in the economy and it was hard and they wanted their lives to be easier and they listened to that. And that's why they voted for him. But they don't care. They literally don't care how many other people in this world are hurt. See, the difference is I'm willing to pay more for my eggs if it means no one in my country goes hungry tonight. I am willing to pay more for my eggs if it means everybody can have an egg. But they really don't care. And I am heartbroken that so many in my country don't care. That so many won't go love their neighbor. But I want to thank those of you who are. You're the ones keeping me going. Go love your neighbor.
June 30th, and it looks like the big beautiful bill's about to pass the Senate. And listen, MAGA, you guys did it. You fucking got this over the finish line. Congratulations. You guys are 100% the people that we owe all of the credit for what's about to happen in the United States. Now, granted, we're not going to feel the full effect until 2028 because the Republicans, they try to be sneaky, but I don't think it's going to work this time. Because you know what's going to happen this time? After you kick 16 million people off of their health care, they're still going to get sick. And they're still going to go to the doctor. And they're still going to go to the hospital. But they're not going to pay their fucking bills. And then you know what's going to happen? The rural hospitals are going to close because there's no fucking money to operate said rural hospitals. Now, I don't know if you're on Medicaid and I don't know if you live in a rural area, but if you do, those are things that might be affected. Your health insurance rates come this January. Oh, I cannot wait to see what those are going to be for us. I pay private insurance, and I know for a goddamn fact that right now, my private insurance company is trying to figure out how the fuck they're going to charge me at least triple come January for what's about to happen to our country. So, congrats, MAGA, you did it! You fucking did it. You did it. You did it.
Hello brothers and sisters, I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you are watching me from. Now, many MAGA supporters or Make America Great Again supporters are experiencing frustration and they're crying out about Medicaid and Medicare post-Trump election. Now, most of them they are not actually realizing that they're the ones who voted for everything that Trump is implementing right now, and they are crying out to the they are crying out to the Democrats, they are crying out to the black community to help them fight the orange man they did put in office. Now, this is not because of a neoliberal policies, but ironically, they are crying out because of policies and consequences tied to the Trump administration itself. And it is for this reason that broader conservative goals were voted in their own consent. Like they went to the ballot and voted Donald Trump knowing that he's going to implement all these things. Now, let me now break down why the MAGA supporters are now crying out and they're now asking the Democrats to help them fight their own president who they did elect and put him in power. Now, you must remember that Trump promised to protect Medicare, right? And Medicaid. But he has not fully done it. And it is for this reason that we know Trump frequently promised he will not touch Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security, right? This was the promise he did. Now, let me quote him in his campaign trail. Trump said that I'm not going to cut Medicare or Medicaid like every other Republican. That was Trump during the campaign trail. Now, let me now hit you with the reality that is now with the MAGA supporters. Now, budgets proposed by the Trump White House repeatedly included deep cuts, to Medicaid and smaller savings to Medicare, to reduce federal spending. He promised to reduce the spending, the government spending, and is doing exactly that. But he promised that he's not going to touch Medicare and Medicaid. He's doing exactly that. Now, the budgets that was set aside for Medicare and Medicaid, they have been reduced. And this is to reduce the federal spending. And it is for this reason that now you can't get the services as they should be coming to you, you know. And for this reason, it means that most of the people are going to have a problem accessing Medicaid and Medicare. This only makes things more expensive, and this makes things to look more hard for the for the mid-level citizens in the US, and for those who voted Donald Trump, and for those who did not vote. Now, something very interesting about politics is when a person is elected, he serves the interest of those who elected him and those who did not elect him. Now, for these reasons, now you see, both Democrats and Republicans are suffering the same way. Now, Republicans are suffering even after voting their own president, you know, the orange man in the White House, you know, and they're now complaining. A year has not even ended, and they're everywhere complaining to the black community and to all those Democrats who did not vote for Donald Trump to come and help them fight their own president, you know. Very crazy, right? Now, let's not forget that Medicaid block grants and work requirements led to coverage losses, especially in red states, you know, and no one saw this coming. Now, the grants that were being given to Medicaid have been blocked by the same White House, you know, and Trump promised that he's not going to touch Medicaid, that he's not going to do anything to that the people must enjoy this uniformly, and the people must get some good Medicare, you know, and some good health services. But what is not happening? The reality is far away from the truth, you know. Now, there are a lot of illusions that have been built about politics, both in Africa, the diaspora, and in America, together with Europe. Most people think that they are angels who have been elected to serve them as God, you know, that you elect some kind of a human being who is going to make sure that you get money, you get some good health services, and all these other stories. And when they come to power, now the reality starts hitting you so hard. Now, you see, Donald Trump has broke all the things he promised. He has broken all of them. And the administrative burdens discouraged enrollment and increased red tape. And as from this, especially among the working class, now rural voters, among which who are MAGA voters, you know, we must really know the difference between voting emotionally and voting with a lot of conscience, you know, that you just do not vote because you love someone or you love the party or you want to punish the other party. You vote knowing that the person has a good track record, that the person is not a liar, a typical liar. There are those liars who are very typical, like they lie today, they lie tomorrow to your face, and they even try as much as they can to gaslight you when you try to confront them about their own lies. So when supporters see their own relatives or themselves struggling to maintain coverage, they feel betrayed, even if they don't directly link to Trump, but they are betrayed because Trump promised them that he's not going to touch Medicaid, not going to touch Medicaid and the Social Security, but he has done exactly that. He has cut the spending, and when you cut the spending, it means the services will not be given as good as they were before. Or if that's the case, then someone has to go deeper into their pockets to get whatever they were getting before. Really messed up situation right now, black folks. Now we have the Medicaid expansion divide, which is actually bringing a lot of controversies to the MAGA supporters and to all the American citizens. Now, many MAGA supporters live in states that rejected Medicaid expansion, like Texas, Florida, and most of the deep south. Now, this is whatever it means for those who are not getting the point. Now, it means that poor, uninsured adults, mostly working, but with a low income. That's whatever I mean. Now, they have no access to Medicaid at the moment, and people are now blaming Biden and his government, the previous government, for denying care, not realizing their own state governments blocked the expansion. That most of the MAGA supporters do not even want to accept that they made a mistake. I know Donald Trump had some good policies, but as a matter of fact, there is need for us to be looking at the track records. I do not just, I'm not just trying to hammer him, but I'm trying to pump some truth and knowledge and wisdom to the voters that we need to refrain from the voting that we do with a lot of emotions, that we are doing this process trying to punish the other party. Politicians have some good life, and you cannot punish them at the ballot. The only thing you need to do is become sober, have some wisdom, and vote wisely. There is no someone who is very perfect to do the job. I know most of the politicians have talked and not delivered, but at least go for those ones who have a good track record. And for that reason, you're going actually to see some improvements. I know most of these politicians have greed for power, and when they get into power, they change drastically. And we've known them. The fact that we always assume that they will change, the fact that we always give them second chances, is very or absolutely crazy. So we need to figure out, and we need to actually sit down and realize that we've been voting with the wrong patterns. We've been voting parties. We've been voting parties and individuals instead of development, instead of track records. And it is for this reason that I usually say that the world will still face the same problems. Have you ever asked yourself that they have had almost the same manifesto, the same agendas over the years? Now, if you're a MAGA supporter, or if you're a Republican, or if you're a Democrat, now go look at the agendas that were presented by Barack Obama back in the 2008 general election, and now go look at the same that he presented during the 2012. Look at the same that Bill Clinton presented in 2016, and Joe Biden back in 2020. Now go do the same for Donald Trump. You're going to realize that it is almost the same. That they have always brainwashed the public to believe that when they're out of government, they are saints. That they have always been better when outside the government, and they always become angels after they leave power. Most of the people are now praising Joe Biden. I do not praise Joe Biden that much because people were still crying during his tenure. The same people were crying during Barack Obama's tenure. Then they voted in Donald Trump back in 2016. They still complain about him. Now, you must realize that the politicians are not coming to solve your problems. We elect politicians to manage the taxes that we collect, so that we can get good services, we can have some good roads, we can have some rail development, and they cannot in any way try to submerge the will of the people or subvert the will of the people in any way. So we must first realize that we are not voting leaders to change our lives. We are voting the leaders to implement whatever the Constitution states. That a government is voted to protect its people, to provide basic services to its people. That's whatever the Constitution stipulates, And they have no other obligation than the one they have been given by the public. So I do not agree with the fact that we beg so much the politicians to do to us whatever they should have done so many years back. This is the time we should realize that the political class is one, and they will always unite against you and me. So we have an obligation as the people to start thinking wisely and voting wisely. Let's drop the emotional bit of us, that which makes errors at the ballot, and now focus with electing people with some good track record, people who we can hold accountable. Now, you cannot hold the whole party accountable, because they got senators, they got governors, they got representatives in the House, and this makes them more powerful, and they will always pass the laws that which favor them at the moment. They will always cry when they are outside government, and you will always sympathize with them when they are outside government. So let's not vote emotionally. Let's recollect ourselves, the black community, the white community, the Latino, together as one. I always say, when you vote about president, you just do not affect Democrats or Republicans alone. You affect everyone who lives in the US and everyone who partners with the US to make business or to transact business. So let's be very sober, because the decision we make affects you for the next 4 years or so, even for a lifetime. So thank you so much for having taken your time to watch this video. I really appreciate, brothers and sisters. If it's your first time on this channel, we are sharing the positivity and we are trying to educate the masses. So you can consider sharing these videos on TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere, with your friends, just to enlighten the people with whatever is happening, and try as much as we can to elevate ourselves and make ourselves better. Thank you so much. May you like the video, comment. See you later in our next episode.